Yeah, just about as groovy as a 10-cent movie. I'm your man, Calvin Gibbs, and this is Diverse Talking Heads. Now, as you know, Diverse Talking Heads is the show where a panel of experts from diverse backgrounds, diverse cultures, diverse religions, and diverse thoughts all come together. We talk about cultural events that are going on now. Here with me tonight, I'll let them introduce themselves. We have the man with the red shirt.
Orange.
Orange.
the color palette here. But go ahead. Oh, hi, I'm Charlie Ramsey. Thanks for having me, Cal.
Thank you. And
I'm Dan Mendelowitz.
Okay. All right. Well, let's get right to it, gentlemen. As we know, the holidays are over and students are going back to school, or we thought they would be going back to school. But as this Omicron variant has dominated the country, and I should say the world, a lot of schools have been having problems getting teachers back in and getting students in. Some school systems have even gone back to remote learning. Your thoughts on that, Dan, as the variant has spread throughout the country, and it seems that more and more people are getting it now. Should these students really be going back into the schools? Should the teachers be going back? What do you think should be going on right now?
Well, there's a couple things at play here. One of them is, it was a holiday season, so a lot of people were getting together with folks. People tend to get a little more casual. Some are not as strict with their protocols. They may have relatives from parts of the country that don't necessarily follow some of the same strictness that you get like here in Illinois and some other places. And there's an opportunity for a lot of spreading, especially at a variant that is so good at doing it. And I think some of the thinking was, well, let's just give ourselves a week or two to let it burn out, settle down, and get back to school. As I think it really comes back to one of the problems we've had through the entire pandemic, and that's testing. And it hasn't been a priority until recently. And without testing, you really just don't know. And people are scrambling to find tests, and parents are scrambling to find tests, and teachers. And I think it becomes a safety issue, but at the same time, you want the kids to be able to learning environment.
So, Charlie, is there such a thing as over testing? I mean, if you have symptoms, of course you want to get tested to verify what's going on, but sometimes people don't even have symptoms. They want to get tested before they go somewhere or after they come back from somewhere. Do you think there's such a thing as over testing?
Well, if you're talking in a general sense, yes. I don't think that's the case with this particular thing. They've said that there are probably more cases out there that we know of because people have not got tested. There is probably not enough tests out there, although the government is ramping that up. I think they're trying to go to, 3 million a month. However, they said ideally they need at least 7 million that they would, mail out to people or be readily available to do that on average. So I think probably it's actually under that right now, and of course the rates with the Omicron have gone up, and it might be potentially higher than that. Now, a lot of those may be non-symptomatic. People may not feel well, but it may be more of a minor thing and all that. So it's kind of problematic on that right now. As you know, the Chicago schools were shut down for several days by the teachers union regarding that. And they went back to school here after, I think it was 5 days they were out, school days. Despite that, the health department indicating that it was okay for the children to be in. I think that put the union in a very tricky position by doing that, because it was the health, when they were out the first time around, the health department recommended that that we go to remote, and they're not recommending that currently. However, at least in Chicago, the teachers did not feel they were safe enough in there. So So it was a very tricky thing. Luckily, it appears they've worked that out. The kids are back in school for now. The indications are with the Omicron that it's going to be almost like a pencil arc on it. It's going to go up dramatically here, probably in the next week or two, and that it may decline after that. That was the pattern in South Africa where it first started. So hopefully, that's a big underline, whatever, on that, we'll hit the peak and we'll be coming off the peak, hopefully by the end of the month on this. So it's kind of tricky right now what to do. I thought that the union really, that they did not have necessarily the parents of the children behind them for sitting out, because other, types of workers, including some of the parents in certain occupations, were continuing to work during that time. And it was not recommended by the health department that they go to remote. And that's what the mayor of Chicago was going on as well on that. I thought that it was a potential that they did not have the parents on their side on that one. And I'm not sure, I don't have a survey on that, but I kind of got the sense of that. I'm not sure that's a very popular move to make at this point, that they did not have a lot of sympathy from other parties on that.
Yeah, but Charlie, if you are a teacher, I know it's your job to teach, but it's not like you're a fireman or police person. You don't have to go, running into a burning building.
Right.
You're a teacher. And if you feel the environment is not safe, I think that maybe that should be taken into consideration too.
Well, it was, and it was, and the city felt that they were taking care of that matter. I think there was the issue with the mask and everything, and they were taking care of it. And I don't have the details in front of me of how they resolved that. They weren't, I think the last time I looked into it, they weren't available yet. But something was done to get them back into school, at least, satisfy them, maybe, whatever, more masks or whatever it was, got them back in.
Yeah. Now, the students were supposed to be getting better masks, KN95s. And I just wonder how, because there's a lot of kids in school in Chicago public school system. I wonder how many masks they're actually going to get. You can't give a kid one mask and expect that to last even a month.
I don't have the number in front of me. It was quite a few. That's all I can tell you.
I recently had to wear a KN95 mask for an entire week last weekend. I ended up switching it out after 2 days. After 16 hours, I switched it out. So just imagine a kid, that is talking or, breathing and doing the things that kids do inside that mask. I mean, that could be some nasty business there.
Oh, absolutely. And that was a problem the first time around on this, as well, when we were doing more of, the cloth masks and, a year ago or whatever. I mean, that's always going to be a problem with children.
And as a natural segue, they recently, as of the last 48 hours, I've heard that the masks have been rated differently now. Like the blue surgical mask, those only are good for, I think, a day or a couple hours after being in presence of Omicron. And then you have the cloth masks, I believe. Those might be even less.
Right, that's true.
And then the best is the KN95s. Why is it taking almost 2 years before we get this information? I mean,
that's part of it. Is that's the way science works. So I think one of the things people forget is, conspiracy theories have all the answers. Science has only questions. So I think what's happened is, as they learn, as the science evolves, they find out how to do it better. And it's incremental. And so originally they thought, the mask. So, and also as the variants change, the virus finds more and more clever ways of penetrating, the human system, and in order to spread itself. That's what viruses do. They want to be as in wide a place as possible, and they want to keep living just like everything on the planet. That's how they evolve. And sometimes the evolution is successful and sometimes it isn't.
Yeah.
And I think one of the difficulties we have nowadays with our instant communication is it's too easy for people to just criticize, how things work, and they don't have patience and they want everything immediately. And I think what we have to do is say, okay, 3 months ago, we thought cloth masks were good. Now we've learned that it can permeate it a little easier. I think all along they said the N95, K9, and KN95s were much better, but they're more difficult to wear because they're a little thicker and more so. Also, you are talking about a school population, so getting kids to keep a mask on all day is not an easy thing, especially the very young. Especially some belligerent teenagers. They actually found the group that has the most resistance is middle schoolers.
Well, let me ask you this, as a point of consideration, while we're waiting for science to evolve, hundreds of thousands of people are dying or have died while we're waiting for this science to evolve. If we knew from the beginning that KN95s were the best mask, and I do agree with you, that's what was originally said, then why wasn't the teachers given those to start off with? Why
we didn't have them? We didn't have the supply.
Well, in the beginning, when March 2020, there wasn't too many masks to be gotten. It was hard. It was hard getting even the blue surgical mask for a long time. And
well,
then
also at the time, everything was manufactured. Almost 90% of it was manufactured in China.
Absolutely.
And they decided to protect their own population first. And they cut off the export for a while. And we found ourselves in a situation where, it gets into a whole nother part of our political and economic spectrum when we talk about our manufacturing now moving off.
This is true, but
overseas.
I would say this.
Right.
By the time school started, September, August 2021, those KN95s were readily available, and the teachers could have been given those to use instead of.
There's also some low quality product out there. I saw a news report on that today, and the doctor was talking about that, and it said you need to get the masks that say they're from Korea, or be South Korea, of course, and get those masks, and it should be noted on the packaging when you get those, because those are going to be the best ones. And there's a lot of defective or low quality product out there on the KN95. There's a couple of variants on that. I can't remember the codes for them, but I think there's a 94, there's another 95. I remember on that. And the experts said on the 95s, ideally, this is the quality ones, of course, you can wear them up to a week, and then you need to dispose of them. They are not washable.
That is correct.
So get another one.
That is correct. Luckily, I purchased close to 75 of them when they became available while nobody was really thinking about them. And, just in case things got worse in the world and it went longer. And yes, it did go longer. Yes, it did get worse.
There's a lot of parents and grandparents of children in the